Coming now, a man who's got very strong opinions about guns. In fact, just about everything. He's not afraid to say exactly what he thinks. He is a rock legend, an avid hunter, NRA board member. He's Ted Nugent. Ted, welcome back to you.
Welcome to Texas, and I'd like to start off, Piers, by letting everybody know that everybody I know sends prayers to the Chris Kyle and Littlefield families for that tragic loss. And what a celebration. The heroes of the FBI and law enforcement down in Alabama did the right thing, so that's a great relief.
Yeah, and I totally endorse both those sentiments. Let's turn, Ted, because you're a great figure in this area. You know this area better than anybody. I've really enjoyed coming to Texas. I love the people.
Let me see that machine gun smile. You got a machine gun smile?
No, but here's the truth about it. It was an exciting experience. There's no question.
And you can't give me a smile? Wasn't that fun?
No, but firing weapons like that, they're incredibly powerful. I have never really done it before. It is an exciting experience. I can't deny that. My issue, I want to play you just again. This is the AR-15, not the automatic version. This is just the regular semi-automatic once I got the hang of it. Watch this clip. Wow. See, here's the thing. This is the weapon that was used at Aurora in the movie theatre, and it was used at Sandy Hook in the elementary school, and it's been used in the last 5 mass shootings. And I can see why. It was very light. It was easy to use. I had very little training before, maybe a minute's worth of training. And I found it very accurate. Even I was getting an accuracy rate which apparently is the same as the trained police officers with real fire in New York of about 20%, which is obviously different circumstances. I'm sure in a range they'd be nearer 90.
We're shocked, by the way.
Right. But look, here's the thing. I don't understand, and I want you to tell me, in the least inflammatory way possible, why outside of hog hunting, which I get is a problem in Texas, anybody needs one of those. And if the answer isn't very convincing, why the least we couldn't do to those poor families who lost people to that weapon is not just remove those from the equation?
Well, a number of things. First of all, I've been monitoring your gun debates. Go ahead and take it to the bank. You will never understand. I really don't believe you'll ever grasp.
What won't I understand?
You don't understand that it's a simple, inanimate tool that tens of millions of American families own, that have never caused a problem, never had an accident, and will never commit a crime. You have these aberrations that are such a minute percentage. So my prayers are as strong as any.
Americans a year get hit by gunfire, Ted. It's not a minor aberration.
Let me stop you there, because I've been hearing you say this, and you are so full of crap. Listen to me. That statistic includes bad guys shot by cops and intruders shot by homeowners. So that figure is bogus. So you got to. If your
it's an accurate figure, 100,000.
No, it's not. It's not an accurate figure.
100,000 Americans get hit by gunfire a year.
Those include bad guys getting shot by cops.
18,000 of those kill themselves with guns. Right?
Japan has a higher suicide rate, and they're not allowed to get downwind of a gun. Your turn.
How many people got murdered by guns in Japan in the last 2 or 3 years?
We're not talking about guns. We're talking about the act of murder. Do you care about murders, or do you only care about murders with guns?
I care about all deaths by violent crime.
I don't think you do. I think you care about guns. I think you're obsessed with guns.
No, I'm obsessed.
99.99% of the gun owners of America are wonderful people that you are hanging around with here today. Yeah. Perfectly safe, perfectly harmless, wonderful, loving, giving, generous, caring people. Would you leave us the hell alone? Go after the nut jobs, go after the murderers, because I don't know any. We need to lock up the bad guys, and when people show dangerous, murderous intent, which every one of these mass murderers showed, all their neighbors, their family, their teachers, their fellow students, they all knew they were crazy, but Pierce, we didn't stop them because we're worried about hurting their feelings. We have a madman problem in America where they're running around. We have a felony recidivism problem in America. Let's focus on that together and leave the rest of us alone.
I won't leave you alone, because it's a debate that has to be had in America.
And we appreciate that, because you're the perfect poster boy to stand up for the things that make no sense at all to common sense people.
Well, this poster boy will take a break, and when we come back after the break, I want to know from you which of President Obama's 35 ideas for curbing gun violence in America you would support.
Tell them there's no legislation to eliminate all guns. There's no legislation being proposed to subvert the Second Amendment. Tell them specifically what we're talking about. Things that the majority of Americans, when they're asked, support. And tell them now is the time for action. That we're not going to wait until the next Newtown or the next Aurora.
President Obama earlier today reinforcing his plans for new gun legislation. So, Ted, a recent CNN Time ORC poll, January 14th and 15th, gun registration now, 69% of Americans supported that. Ban on extended ammo clips, 58%. Ban on semi-automatic guns, 56%. So a clear majority in every case of Americans that you say I don't understand actually agree with me, not you. What is your response to what the president is trying to do? Which of his proposals do you agree with?
Well, I think I can frame it best by identifying the scammer-in-chief who claims that just to save one life would be worth this.
Isn't it worth it?
He had a chance to save 4 American lives in Benghazi, and he refused to do so. Now he's sending F-16s to Egypt. So how can you believe this guy? This guy is on record. This president of ours has been voted in by that clueless majority who is so out of touch, they still call magazine clips. They still call personal defense weapons assault weapons, which is a nomenclature created by the anti-gun agenda.
Just go through
I don't agree with President Obama on any of that.
Do you agree with universal background checks?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because the government doesn't need to know who's got what.
Of course they do.
Ted Kennedy was on the no-fly list 5 times, which I happen to support. But that's a bureaucracy gone mad. You can't trust these guys. I was turned down purchasing firearms a number of times, and I own Class 3 weapons, and I own hundreds and hundreds of guns. I've had a concealed weapons permit for 40 years. I've got sheriff credentials, and the instant check turned me down a number of times. It showed some felony.
But here's what's happened, Ted. You heard the owner of this store earlier in the show say he's selling 4 times as many guns and 4 times as much ammo
to me
since Sandy Hook. Maybe to you, maybe to Alex Jones, who was here earlier, which is fine. I find it an incredibly disturbing reaction to the massacre of 20 young children.
That's not a reaction to Sandy Hook.
But here's my question for
Piers.
you. Here's the question. Do you think America is going to be safer because gun stores like this are selling so furiously and so much faster weapons and ammunition, increasing both in America?
Absolutely. An armed society is a polite society. And again, I told you these statistics before, and they're not mine. They're actually Scotland Yard supported. They're UN supported. They're FBI uniform crime statistics reported. That where there are more citizens with more firepower, particularly on their person loaded concealed weapons permit,
Do you know the 2 countries?
there is a dramatic reduction in violent crime.
I saw you say this. So here's the question for you. Do you know the 2 countries which have the highest per capita rate of firearms per civilian?
America and Switzerland, I believe.
No. Do you know what the second one is after America? The Yemen.
Well,
are you seriously telling me the Yemen is one of the safest places on earth?
Are you seriously telling me?
Ted Nugent,
are you?
When you say this kind of bull, and that's what it is, people believe it. And the Yemen is not the safest country in the world.
Are you prepared to admit that your dream of a gun-free zone in Mexico is working, a gun-free zone in Chicago is working, a gun-free zone in all these cities where the slaughter rate is the highest of anywhere?
Let me give you some countries.
Including Yemen.
Let me give you some countries. Australia, Britain, Japan,
They don't have a Second
Canada.
Amendment, Piers.
Huh?
They don't have a Second Amendment,
Your
Piers.
Second Amendment, Ted, doesn't entitle you to have an armoured tank outside or an RPG on your shoulder. You accept gun control already.
Are you sure of that?
Well, I wouldn't want you in a tank. But there are already over 50 gun control measures in this country. We're not talking about bringing in gun control. We're talking about extending it to cover the preferred weapon of mass shooters.
Violated by all these perpetrators every time. What makes you think that the 51st law is going to stop this kind of slaughter?
And
I'm here to tell you it will not.
Ted,
I believe an armed society is a polite society.
The mood is changing, Ted, and something has to change. But I respect your opinion. I respect you coming down to talk to me. Thank you.
That gets you.
Ted Nugent.